In the previous episode of our two-part series, we saw how the Mongols created and ruled the largest contiguous land empire in history by mastering a warfare which was unparalleled in cruelty and cunningness, sweeping east and west, destroying everything in their path. Still, nothing lasts forever, and the great Genghis Khan's empire has since crumbled. What happened to this once illustrious empire? What led to their downfall? And where did they go? Let's find out with us, together, on Intrigued Mind. The fall of the Mongol Empire has always been a point of debate, because it wasn't one, but a combination of many events and situations. A common summary goes something like this. Genghis Khan unified and reorganized the entire steppe tribe and led them to conquer most of the known world. He was succeeded by his sons, and the conquest of the empire continued after his death. His immediate successor, Kublai Khan, expanded the empire by controlling all of China, Persia, and posed a threat against the Europeans. Their conquest of Europe failed due to his sudden death, with the next great Khan as his son Guyuk, who also died soon after claiming power. He was succeeded by Mongol, the last great Khan before the entire Mongol Empire was divided into 4 independent Khanates in 1260. Then came Kublai Khan, who was more focused on China, as he moved the empire's capital from Karakorum to Beijing and adopted Chinese rule. After his death, each of the Khanates slowly crumbled because of continuous infighting between themselves. Other nations also began to attack as their legendary rulers were gone. All these cumulative events cemented its inevitable fall. This summary we found in our research stated that the Mongol Empire declined due to enemies both within and outside the government. The within aspect corroborates with many historians who take it as granted the idea of a gradual decline, first promulgated by Edward Gibbons. Empires may not fall until they have previously undergone a process of decline. Let's jump in. Genghis Khan had 4 sons to his primary wife Borte: Jochi, Chagatai, Ugadai, and Tolud. Prior to the great Khan's death, there was a brewing succession crisis because it was unclear whether Jochi was Genghis Khan's son. Albeit, the great Khan treated Jochi as a son and also as heir. Jochi's younger brother Chagatai wanted to be great Khan, so he loudly opposed Jochi on many occasions. To avert a civil war between these two, Genghis Khan made Ugadai his successor. After a few short generations, the Ugadai branch died out, and the empire was given to the descendants of Genghis Khan's 4th son, Tolud. But their power over the other descendants was weak. The Joshids and Chagatides acted independently of the Toluids, and civil wars broke out within the fracturing empire. You see, the Mongols never really had it sorted out about the inheritance of throne. In 1260, the Mongol Empire went from being a somewhat anarchic land unified by the fear invoked by Genghis Khan himself, to a divided land of 4 Khanates, each far smaller than the original territory. The Yuan dynasty based in China, Golden Horde in Russia, Ilkhanate in Persia or Middle East, and the Chagatai in Central Asia. Initially, the divided empire prospered for a short time of peace, but soon enough, each Khanate began to independently face unique challenges. The first being the Ilkhanate of Persia. The Ilkhan's habits of overspending strained the treasury. Plus, the exploitation of the peasantry led to rebellions and reduced revenues. An attempt to force paper money upon the common people simply resulted in merchants closing their shops. By 1335, the Ilkhanate collapsed into local governments as the Ilkhan Abu Said, just like Henry VIII of England, could not provide a male heir. Various expedients were tried by several factions, but essentially the throne was up for grabs. As a result, the central government disintegrated. The Yuan dynasty of Kublai Khan started facing a series of native Chinese revolts, especially in South China, and Mongols lost their grip on the central government. Moreover, the bubonic plague greatly weakened the Yuan dynasty, killing almost half of the population in many regions. This economic and social weakening presented the native Chinese generals with an opportunity for a shift in power. The Mongol army was no longer of a quality to be able to deal effectively with these problems, and eventually the Yuan dynasty fell in 1368, when the last Mongol emperor, Timur, was driven out of China and back to Mongolia. The other two khanates, the Golden Horde and the Chagatai Khanate, lasted much longer as they retained more of their traditional steppe lifestyle. Golden Horde had a different problem: religion. Under Berke Khan, it became the first official establishment of Islam in the Mongol Empire. It declared a civil war against the Ilkhanate for the annihilation of Baghdad, and Hulagu-Berke War became a pivotal point of the empire. In the last quarter of the 14th century, the Golden Horde began to lose its power and was defeated by the Grand Prince of Moscow in 1380. Afterwards, the Mongols invaded and destroyed Sarai, where Golden Horde remained a strong force for another 2 centuries. However, there were many internal problems, and after the attack by Crimean Khan, Golden Horde fell in 1502. Similarly, the Chagatai leaders began to convert to Islam in the 14th century, showing the beginning of the Mongols assimilating to the Turkic people they ruled over. They even changed the official language from Mongolian to Chagatai Turkic. In the 1340s, the Khanate split into 2 parts and everything began to disintegrate. However, one Chagatai called Timur the Lame was very ambitious and started attacking other Khanates, Afghanistan, India, and died on his way to attack China. Timur's descendant Babur conquered India, where they would rule for another 400 years as Mughals, until the East India Company took over the Indian subcontinent. So technically, even the Chagatai Khanate faded away in the 15th century. The Mongols would continue to rule India as Mughals until the 19th century. In the end, we have to understand that when the divided Mongol Empire began to collapse in different regions, not all the people went home to Mongolia. Only the important ones, like royal families and military, went back, whereas a big part of them stayed back with natives and adapted to the local religions, customs, and culture. Some even founded new territories with new identities. Some historians believe that had it not been constant infighting for the dynastic disputes and an unwillingness to adapt to new technologies and lifestyles, the Mongols might have survived a couple more centuries. Nonetheless, the legacy of the Mongol rule still prevails after 800 years, as one person in every 200 holds a genetic lineage of Genghis Khan, making him the father of the biggest gene pool in our known human history. And we bet this genetic Mongol Empire is not going to collapse anytime soon. Thank you for watching our 2-part series on the Mongol Empire. If you want an episode on a particular subject that intrigues you, please request it in your comments, and we will make it happen for you. Your active engagement with our channel will motivate us to further work hard and bring you more of such great content. Till then, stay safe and have an intrigued mind.